Hi guys. Hi, how are you doing? Hi Joan, thank you so much for being here. Joan is one of the wonderful moderators for Wattsy Obsession. Nancy just texted me, Nancy, come moderate. She's also one of the wonderful moderators. So, hi Margarita Oliveris, how are you? So nice to see you here. I see you through comments we chat sometimes, but I don't always catch you in a live stream. So it's wonderful to see you here. Thanks for being here. That's awesome. Love it. Very good. Let's see. I'm going to turn my phone on silent. So if somebody really needs to get a hold of me, moderators, you can text me. I'll put my phone right here, but I don't want it to be dinging. So yeah. Oh, so nice to see you. How are you doing today, Margarita? You doing good? So we are trying a slightly different time. Initially I had this scheduled for 4, but I had to move it to 5 because I had to do some transporting of my child and stuff after school. So it's hard to find a good time. You know, when you have a YouTube channel, YouTube reports out all of these analytics at the end of every month. And you know, it reports out analytics, of course, that are just personalized to your YouTube channel. And it also reports out trends or just things that are good for creators to know about the habits of people on YouTube. So let's see. It tells me that on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, the most active hours for people that are going on YouTube are between noon and 6 p.m. Do you guys think that's true for you? If that's true for you, all of you there, and I'm going to say hi to a lot more people. I'm so excited to see you guys. I haven't been on live in a while. Now we're talking Eastern. It just transitioned over to daylight savings time. It was Eastern Standard Time last week. And then this weekend, those of us in the United States turned our clocks, which is a totally antiquated convention that we use, but that's a whole different topic we don't want to get into. So how many of you, if you can do the math and if you're in a different time zone, think that you are most active on YouTube between noon and 6 p.m. on weekdays? Because, you know, it doesn't tell me the analytics for people who are in the true crime community or who are consuming that kind of content. I think it's just for YouTubers in general. So if you think you're most active between noon and 6 p.m. Eastern time, if you can figure that out, press 1. If you're like, no, that's wrong, I'm a night owl, or that's just not right, go ahead and press 2. Hi, John McSmith. How are you? I saw that there was a comment from you that came through yesterday, and I wanted to respond to it, and I just got distracted, but I will do that afterwards, okay? So press 1 if you think that you're most active between noon and 6 p.m. And this is Eastern time on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And if you think that's not true, press no. Yeah. Vanessa says night owl. Yeah, I know that of you, Vanessa. Me too. We're good like that together, girl. Vanessa, when you were working, did you work days or did you work a night shift? David says it's not true. Oh, yeah, good. Watching from Germany. Oh, perfect. That is good. Hi, Anna. Let me just say hi to people. No, that's, you know, see, I think everybody that's responded so far either said no or they said like whatever works. So, you know, I don't think those analytics YouTube is giving me is necessarily true for our community. But hi, Sharon Norris. I told you didn't miss the live stream. I saw that yesterday. I'm going to play that video in just a minute here while I allow some more people to get their notifications. That's another thing I found about YouTube. Sometimes when I start a live stream or anyone starts a live stream, I don't know if you guys have noticed this, the feedback that I've received across the board and even from other creators is that sometimes people don't get those notifications until up to like 10 minutes after the live stream actually started. Kind of weird. I don't know. It's like YouTube can do so much. It can create all of these fancy analytics and spit all of these reports back out at you, but it can't let my subscribers know like when a live stream actually starts. It's kind of weird. So hi, Vanessa. Hi, Colby. How are you? It's 5:11 p.m. here. Okay, that's what it is here too. So we're on the, yeah. So you and I are on the same time frame. Maybe you're helping someone else out. Thank you. Hi, Utter Nutter. So nice to see you. And Sharon, I'm really glad that you made it. Hi, Margie. Hello again, Anna. Hi, John McSmith. Hi, David BMX. Is it one? It looks like BMX 1 and then a 1, or is it BMX 11? I'm not sure. I've always wondered that about you. And hello again, Margarita Oliveris. Hi, Cecile. Thank you so much for being here. Cecile and Joan and Utter Nutter are some of my awesome moderators, along with Pride or Honesty and Nancy. And I don't know if these people are here, but I just want to give them a shout out because I love all of them. Lily Shaw and Mama Jane D, the Enforcer. And I'm not sure, one of them changed her name recently. Actually, 2 of them did. So I'm not sure what their names are now, if I'm going to say the right name, or even if I haven't remember. Hi, Kitty Witty. How are you? But you normally watch AD at this time. Yeah. Is AD on this evening? I was going to check that because I don't like to necessarily conflict with him because I know that we have some of the same audience, but I just didn't get a chance to check it. I've had some things going on like we all do, and I just had to get in here what I could get in here. Let's see. David says needs to change that. It's just plain old David. Okay. I know what you mean. Sometimes when the names get a little too crazy, I have a hard time saying them when I'm saying hi to people. I'm like, and that is a what? So I'll just get started introducing you to the topic. And then I am going to play a video that I did upload. I think it was yesterday. So if you've seen it, sorry about that. Maybe you can go get a coffee or a bite to eat, or go, I don't know, paint your nails, or just watch it again, see if you pick up anything different. But, I think we can all agree that there are very few facts or assertions regarding the Watts case that nearly, almost everyone pretty much agrees on. They've been put to bed, they've been put to rest. We're like, okay, that was part of the discovery. And whether you are on this side of the tracks or this side of the tracks, we all agree that it was presented in discovery in good faith from law enforcement without any agenda or ulterior motive or intention to manipulate. And we agree that that's a fact. We can call that a fact. We can call that a YouTube fact, which is really more nuanced than like a fact and scientific fact, let's say, right? We all know that. So I always imagined that the 616 ping from NK's phone, Chris Watts' mistress, on the morning of August 13th of 2018 was one of those put to bed facts. Like, we all agree on it. It's all good, right? Now, what that could mean and the strength of the fact that lies within the fact that her phone pinged at 6:16 a.m. That's what we're going to talk about later in this live stream. And I have some interesting things I hope to present to you. And some of them are going to be in conflict with some things that have been presented by others recently. And I will tell you that anything that I'm presenting in this live stream, I present it with a whole lot of confidence that it is accurate and factual and correct. Or I wouldn't present it to you, or I present it to you as an idea that I'm telling you, I'm throwing out there as an idea, but I don't know, this to be factual or accurate. So what I'm going to tell you right now is, oh yes, AD is armchair detective. Oh, and is he on tonight? Did anyone respond to that? I'm just kind of curious. Yeah, I know this is usually an AD time. That's why I was a little nervous doing it, but I don't know. But much blessings to AD. I am a supporter of AD, unlike a lot of other people out there. A topic I'm going to digress for just a moment. A topic that I started to touch upon last time I did a live stream, and I am going to cover this topic full on. I have been putting together some stuff and gathering some data and material when I really put it out there, I want to put it out there well. Okay. Thank you, Kitty Witty. Hi, Nancy. I do like AD. I do think that what he puts out there is good for the most part. There was a time period where I had been watching him, and this was a while back now, and I stopped for whatever reason, and then I gave him a chance again recently, a couple months ago, and I've been scrutinized for saying this, but I stand by it. So I will say it again, regardless of scrutiny or not. I do believe that what he's putting out there now is good. I do believe that for the most part, and according to his best and honest judgment, it is accurate, and it is what it is. I do believe that. Again, some have criticized me for that. Some have called me a fool. Some have called me one who, like they believe AD does, is someone who wants to manipulate. I assure you that is not the case whatsoever. I would have absolutely no reason to want to try to skew things or manipulate the people that view my content. What would it matter? I mean, I have like 7,500 subscribers, and I'm so grateful for you all. And every day I'm just touched that like people want to watch the material I put out there. I'm so honored. I consider it an honor to have a channel that allows me to bring material to you. Right, child? Yep. He knows. It's my son. I'm trying to get some clean clothes, I think. I would not betray the people that I am truly, from the bottom of my heart, so grateful to and for, by manipulating you intentionally. I would never put something out there with that intention. All I can give you is my word. Really, what else can I give you? I've already had my firstborn child and don't plan on having any more. But, from the bottom of my heart, I can tell you that that is true. So I do not understand all of the hate, the magnitude of hate, and the quantity of channels that are directing what appears to me is to be hate towards Armchair Detective. And it gets personal and it gets mean. And hey, listen, even if there is some actual beef that is had with him, maybe if there is some issue that is greater than what I'm aware of, I can't imagine what that could be that would justify the number of channels ripping that man apart. And really personally, I mean, I can just speak for myself. He has always been good to me. He's always been kind to me. He's always been helpful to me. He's always been honest with me. And the same is true for all of the people on his team. I truly cannot think of an exception. I certainly cannot say that about other YouTube creators' channels. And this goes for people that are on both sides of the track. So, yeah, Molson Man. I hear Molson Man is in his house. I'm glad you like the channel, David. Thank you so much. Yeah. And John McSmith says, that's why I'm not saying anything. So he might be one of those people, and if people disagree with my perspective on this or anything else, like that's what people do, right? And to pretend that all of us here in this chat right now agree on, oh yes, we agree on that. Oh yes, we agree. That would be weird, right? That would be dishonest. That would be disingenuous. So we don't ever have to pretend that. To disagree is fine. And really, it's in that disagreement and it's in that discussing the points on which we disagree that we are able to come closer to the truth. We are able to come closer to, determining things that really matter. People's behaviors, their intentions behind their behaviors, their intentions behind a person's speech, their communication, their actions. These things are not always obvious. To pretend that they are, I think, is to simplify human nature, and it's to diminish the complexity and the uniqueness of, each one of us. Of course, we're not going to all agree on anything. And the day that we do, I'm going to be really worried, and I'm probably going to have to run away because I'm going to feel like this has to be some kind of alien function, not my YouTube channel. So hi, Stefan. How are you? Stefan from Germany. I have a couple people from Germany today, so maybe this is a good time for those of you in Germany. Welcome. So wonderful to see you. Hi, Yarna Mittens. Great to see you here as well. Yeah. Oh, Dave is where, yes. Utter Nutter, I fully agree. Yes. Nancy and I were just talking about that earlier today, that there are, for the people, you know, that feel something that they've got beef with AD. And hey, and if they do, I'm not saying that is not legitimate by any means. There very well might be some legitimate stuff there. And I kind of assume there has to be some legitimate stuff there. It would be hard for me to believe that all of this pushback against him was, you know, just created out of thin air and it's a figment of someone's imagination. I'm sure there's legit stuff there. And I don't want to take away from that if there is legitimate stuff that truly did hurt people, because it sounds like that may have happened. But in any category where he offends, you know, we are aware of far worse offenders out there. So, hi, Henrietta. How are you? Oh, from Germany as well. This is so great. I love it. We've got a lot of people from Germany. It's an honor to have you guys here. What time is it in Germany right now, guys? Oh, thank you, Joan. You're too kind to me, sweetheart. Thank you. Yes, he is, Vanessa. That's correct. Yes, yes. He'd be around retirement age. So, okay. So anyway, back to today's topic at hand. So the ping at 6:16 a.m. from NK's phone in Frederick, Colorado, the morning of August 13th, 2018. So recently, so it's 10:20. So you guys are Germany is 5 hours ahead. Okay, yeah. So you know that time here, my time when it's like 10 or 10:30 or so, that's a really good time for me to settle into YouTube too. Usually anything I had to do that day having to do with work or my child or other family members or my pets or is all over with, and it's kind of me time. So good. And I'm glad you're enjoying your me time. So recently, and it was one of the channels that does, have, hi, Ocean's Daughter. How are you? Wonderful to see you. I've told her before, her name is my favorite. It just makes me feel serene, and maybe it's a picture with it. I just think it's such a beautiful name. Makes me feel like we are all a child of the earth, and what better place to be on the earth than by the ocean. So it is, from one of the channels that has got beef with AD, recently came out with a video saying that, from what I understand, I just watched it briefly. I've heard more about it than I have watched it. Hi, Crime Curious. How are you? That the 6:16 a.m. ping from NK's phone is not real. It's been debunked. I think this was directed towards AD, saying that, he was putting out this fake material, but I can assure you that it's not just AD that's put it out there. It was the Weld County District Attorney's Office that put it out there in one of the variations of discovery. And I'm going to go a lot deeper into what that ping means and what a ping means and how accurate it is and how much reality we can extract from knowing when a ping happened. But I am going to play you this video that I uploaded yesterday. So again, if you've already seen it, please enjoy it again. Just kick back and relax or go get yourself a little treat or do whatever you want to do. Don't let me boss you around. Thank you guys so much for being here. Melissa, man, it's great to see you. Is my volume okay, guys? My audio okay? Joe Nance. Oh, thank you for subscribing, Yarn Mittens. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you for subscribing. Yeah. Everyone, please do subscribe, get the notifications. Doesn't commit you to anything. Like I said, I always appreciate you guys when you come back. All good? Okay, good. I get into a discussion with somebody about NK and her possible involvement in the terrible tragedy that happened in Frederick, Colorado on August 13th, 2018. I always say, or at least I think it, and I think I usually say it, that the number one reason I believe that she was involved to a greater degree than we know is due to the 6:16 a.m. ping in Frederick, Colorado on the morning of August 13, 2018. In previous videos, I have disclosed that I worked in the telecom industry for 4.5 years as a site acquisition specialist. And what I did was I handled the legality, the red tape, and the kind of real estate aspect of putting antennas up for carriers so they could expand their wireless capacity, whether those antennas went on another tower that's called location or the side of a building, or sometimes you create structures that look like trees and really they're towers. I was involved in that industry heavily for 4.5 years, worked with the radio frequency engineers, structural engineers, and a number of other people who know a heck of a lot more about this topic than I do. I got into that industry because one of my good friends had a private company that offered site acquisition services. We're still good friends. I've talked to him about the ping in this case ever since, I started following this case over a couple of years ago. So looking at everything there is to look at, he has assured me that if NK pinged in Frederick, Colorado that morning, then she was in Frederick, Colorado that morning. And what I'm going to show you today is the way the cell phone towers, or more accurately, the antennas, are situated in Frederick, Colorado and the surrounding areas. You're going to see that if a person's phone pings in Frederick, Colorado, and there's a person attached to that phone, that person is, in fact, in Frederick, Colorado. There's no doubt about it, my friends. Hopefully, this video will answer some questions or doubt that you may have. I'd love for you to leave comments or ask questions. You can ask questions through comments or email me at wattsobsession@gmail.com. I'm always happy to answer whenever I can. Here's an interesting fact. I researched ping, just the word ping, the term ping. I didn't really think I needed to. I felt as though I had a good understanding of what a ping means, but for the sake of completeness and thoroughness in presenting this to you, I decided to do the research anyhow. I'm glad I did. There are really two situations that ping is referred to and defined across a range and variety of articles on the internet, whether they be legal articles from a court or a sheriff's office or a division of government or a carrier like Verizon or AT&T, or, like a parent magazine, like, hey, your kid has a cell phone now and they lost it and you want to find it because they're expensive, or you want to find your kid because they're expensive, you're going to use a ping. Okay. So in the case of law enforcement or judicial purposes, a ping is talked about in terms of locating a cell phone at any given time. So on the space-time continuum, you can locate where a person is, assuming that person is with a cell phone at almost any given time of day, unless, of course, the cell phone is out of range and the GPS services are either not enabled, turned on, or available on that device. The other way a ping is described is in the instance of, find my phone. So you don't know where your phone is, you don't know where your iPad is, you're freaking out. You remember you've got the Find My Phone app on your phone. You can find your spouse's, your kids, any phone that is connected to your own. You can locate that device by pinging it by forcing a ping, therefore determining the device's location. Regarding the question, how accurate is a ping? Well, a ping is pretty accurate. It is accurate enough that the only way law enforcement even can receive information that is obtained through a ping is through search and seizure, or for a warrant, through a warrant of somebody's cell phone records, seeking somebody's cell phone records. So this section of some legal prescriptions regarding how you can actually obtain a ping is discussing when this is a matter of life and death. So it says, pinging a cell phone is a search and seizure of the cell phone subscriber's location records. As such, pinging a cell phone is subject to established search and seizure laws, including Penal Code 1546. This includes the exigent circumstance exception. When a deputy determines that a location of a cell phone is needed due to exigent circumstances, the requesting deputy must be able to articulate exigent circumstances to include the immediate danger of death or serious bodily injury to any person. So let's say that a ping is deemed to be accurate enough that even law enforcement can only obtain the information that you can get through a ping through these very serious circumstances. So some of you might be saying, well, hey, thanks, Kelly, but didn't we already know that Nicole Kessinger pinged in Frederick, Colorado the morning of August 13th? Well, I thought so. I thought that was one of the very few issues that have been put to rest in this case that pretty much everyone agrees on. And the reason is this. In one of the renditions of discovery that Weld County released to those who requested the discovery file, Nicole Kessinger's phone records from July 13th to August 13th appeared in the discovery. It was only a couple months later that we found those who requested the discovery file got a rendition of the discovery file that no longer included those phone records from July 13th to August 13th, which really, those are the relevant phone records that anyone would want to see when parsing through this case. But rather, those phone records were replaced with her phone records from August 13th, or 14th rather, to September 13th, which really aren't that relevant at all. After August 13th, really the only interesting things that happened on Nicole Kessinger's cell phone were her searches asking if police could find deleted text messages and some other shady things. Because remember, or if you don't know this, let me tell you, that Nicole Kessinger deleted all of her text messages and any interaction record that existed on her phone between herself and Chris Watts. Apparently, she did this on Tuesday, August 14th, and she says that's because she just learned on that day that Chris Watts' beautiful wife, Shanann Watts, was pregnant, was 15 weeks pregnant. Now, that comes into major question, but that's a whole different topic, a whole different ballgame, and I've covered that in other videos and just might have to cover it again. So, as it turns out, in recent days, and I'm talking March of 2022, some people, or in particular someone, has brought this August 13th, 2018 ping into question and is claiming and is trying to get this claim circulated through YouTube and the internet that it's been debunked and that this ping never really happened. Well, that's not true. And why somebody would make this claim, I really don't know, but I would suggest, guys, if you wanted to know exactly what exists, what evidence there is out there, you could either, very carefully watch the material that a YouTube creator put out, and decide for yourself who is believable and who is without agenda and who is not. Or even better, you could request these documents from Weld County. I do believe if you specifically request the phone records from July 13th to August 13th, they do have to provide those to you, because we know that we know they have them. They had been put out in one of the renditions of the discovery. So as we do look at the phone records from July 13th to August 13th, we see that Nicole Kessinger's phone pinged in Frederick, Colorado, a total of 3 times in that time period. We also have a record that her phone pinged in Frederick, Colorado on July 4th, which I'm just going to set that to the side for now because it's not within that July 13th to August 13th timeframe I'm talking about. But she and Chris Watts both acknowledged that she was in Frederick, Colorado on July 4th. So when we're looking at the 3 Frederick, Colorado pings in that July 13th to August 13th timeframe, one was on July 14th. And this is also a day that Chris Watts and Nicole Kessinger both agree that she was in Frederick, Colorado. Now, in my opinion, July 14th was an absolutely pivotal day in this case, and I believe this is the day when Chris Watts started putting the plan into motion. This was the day when, after one of their outings, I believe they went to the Mustang Museum, they went back to Chris Watts' house, and on this day, Nicole Kessinger claims that the dog Dieter strong-armed her into going upstairs where she saw a picture of Shanann and one of the girls. And she claims on that day, she started questioning Chris as to why he's not staying with his wife. She even went so far as to assert that she encouraged him, starting on this day, to stay with his wife. Now, one of my favorite comments that people leave on my channel is, said no side piece ever. I really do agree with that. The other time, or the second time of the third, when we're talking about the pings on Nicole Kessinger's cell phone in Frederick, Colorado, from July 13th to August 13th, is on July 18th. Now, this ping was actually initiated from Chris Watts' phone. He was also in Frederick, Colorado on that day, and he was calling Nicole Kessinger. I think she was kind of like, hanging around there. There was some story told about getting touch-up paint for her car that was perhaps picked up on that day. So of all of the pings from Nicole Kessinger's cell phone from July 14th to August 13th, the third time that she pinged in Frederick, Colorado was on the morning of August 13th at 6:16 a.m. This is a critical time because this would be right around the time, a little bit after the time that Chris Watts left his driveway after we saw, based on the security camera footage from neighbor Nate's security camera, that he had been packing his car for about half an hour, and then he took off heading to Cervi 319, where later that week, the bodies of his beautiful wife, Shanann, 15 weeks pregnant, his daughter, Bella, and his daughter, Cece, were found. Now, these things happened. They were real. This issue has been put to rest, and I'm showing you the evidence right here on this video. So guys, please, please take a look at everything that is available. Think for yourself, and don't ever just believe one source when it comes to critical information regarding this case or any other. You always have to ask yourself, who has an agenda and what exactly is that agenda? You know what I'm saying? Okay, so let me just stop that video there and stop. Or just stop it this way.
Shanann, are you home?
Okay.
Police department, if anyone's inside, make yourself known.
I guess I got to stop that anyway,
just
don't I?
annihilated and buried his entire family.
Oh, terribleness. All right. So does anyone have any questions about, the information that was just covered in that and I'm sorry if the audio was a little off. I was looking at some stuff and I didn't see that for a while. So I'm sorry if anyone had a bad experience with that audio. I hope you could understand what's going on. So let's see. Utter Nutter says, oh, who did I miss here? Hi, James Ferguson. How you doing? Hi, Coco. I don't want to try to say the last part of your name because I'm afraid I'm going to mess it up. From Germany as well. Lots of people from Germany. I love it. That's awesome. I've never been to Germany. I've always lived in the East Coast of the United States. And as far as European travels go, I've been to London a few times and all around England and France, Paris, and other parts of France, just as as a tourist. And I've been to Prague a couple times and to the Canary Islands. That was really a luxurious trip. That was more like that was more like a vacation to a cloud. That was fun. Long time ago that was. So, okay. It was over modulating. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Okay, so a couple of you were having trouble with the audio. I'm sorry about that. Hi, Henrietta. How are you? Sometimes, just so you guys know, if you are having trouble with the audio, please do let me know. Like on this, I didn't see that. I'm sorry, I didn't see that comment. I was actually looking at my phone, not my screen here. But sometimes if you log out or log back in, or not even log out, you don't even need to log out. Hop out of my live stream and then come back in. I know for myself, when I'm having problems with the audio and other people's videos, sometimes that's going to help. So let's see what you guys had to say. So Joan Bradley says, I think she brought her dad, and I believe she thought she would be arrested for distraction for CB. Yeah, for doing something. Yeah. So Joan, I'm not sure what regards this is to. I think it must be to the interview, probably to the interview where we have the newly released video. She says she thinks she brought her dad. She probably thinks she was going to be arrested. I imagine that she must have had that pit of her stomach feeling of fear. I mean, she deleted all of the text messages and any other interaction she had between herself and Chris Watts. And, this was after they found out that he was being charged with this horrendous crime, and she broke her SIM card. I mean, unless she had, made some deal with Weld County prior to that moment, and I don't think that the deal would have been able to have been cinched in that time. She was probably really freaking nervous. She should have been. James Ferguson. James often comments, I've noticed on my video, and I'm so glad you're at the live stream, James. He likes to look into, some of the legal aspects of what's going on with this case, which I love. I respond to his comments a lot. I find it very interesting. Also really interesting in my hometown, there's a attorney I'm friends with whose name is James Ferguson. So whenever I see your name, I'm thinking, oh, attorney. And then we usually chat about legal matters. Let's see what James had to say here. James says, the second Tammy Lee and her husband thought it was a good idea to go on Facebook and make them post, the judge should have called a stop to all of it. Yes. And New Eyes put on the investigation. Yeah. So I don't know how many of you know about this. Oh, you just gave me, gave me a good idea for a video. This is something I haven't seen really covered in videos very often, or it's been a while. Great idea. I owe you one, James. So way back in the beginning of this case, Tammy Lee, did her job. And I think my opinion is I can't really have an educated opinion because I'm not in law enforcement. And I know that, or I've been told, and I just believe that what law enforcement does when they investigate someone or question someone, like with Chris Watts, like what Coder and Tammy Lee did, they make it look easy. Vanessa, would you agree with that? Hi, Truth Untold. Nice to see you here. I've been watching some of your videos lately, Truth Untold. I apologize if this sounds ignorant or rude. I don't mean to be. I don't know about a lot of things on YouTube. I didn't realize you had a channel until recently. So guys, Truth Untold is a channel. Go subscribe. Like I said with my channel, even if you're not sure yet, just subscribe. And it's not going to cost you anything. It's not going to do any harm. So go subscribe. So yeah, welcome Truth Untold. Vanessa, or hope it's okay I'm saying this, she is retired from law enforcement. So, I look to her as being my resident expert on law enforcement who knows more about that than I do, or most of us do. Vanessa says, on detective being okay. So I saw that she was commenting about, the detectives playing good cop, bad cop. One of the detectives is being nice and the other detective is being harder on the person that's being questioned. It's like, disambiguation. That's a big word, Vanessa. I just sounded out. I think the name is the read technique. Yeah, the name is the read technique. I actually have some information on the read technique because I find this aspect of just stop it. What was that one from? Stop it right now. What are we stopping at right now? Hi, Roma's calling. Nice to see you. So glad you can make it here in DTC Primetime. You too. Hi, sweetie. How are you? You sounded really smart, Vanessa. For those of you that don't know, my background, I mentioned that I worked in site acquisition for 4.5 years, and I did. And I learned a lot about cellular communication, telecommunication, and everything in that field. My background, my formal education and training, and that which I came back to and got more formal education and training is in psychology and applied behavioral analysis. So anything that has to do with like the psychological aspects of true crime is generally what I am the most drawn to. So the read technique is really fascinating to me. And it's actually my other computer that just crashed on me. I had some things about the read technique, but I can look it up real quick here. So what Tammy Lee did was part of the read technique that I believe it is a critical part of the read technique that the questioners, in this case, Coder, I think I said Kobach earlier. He's the one that questioned Nicole Kessinger, but this is Special Agent of the FBI, Graham Coder, and Tammy Lee of the CBI were the ones questioning Chris Watts. They, create a relationship with Watts in this case, and they kind of build him up and they give him positive feedback. So that's where they're reinforcing, the narrative, the version of the truth that he's telling them. Positive feedback would be to reinforce that version by and making statements that kind of cradle that version that he's putting forth. So he feels like, wow, they're really embracing this, they're loving this, they're eating it up, they believe me. And then at some point, and from what I understand from everything that I read, or for the people that have used this technique that I talked to, none of who will be on my YouTube channel, because I found that people that are actually working in law enforcement or in the court system right now don't want to come on YouTube. It probably gives them some degree of exposure. And I'm talking legal liability kind of exposure. So when I do see that those people come on YouTube and talk, I always question, if you're retired, it's one thing. If you're still practicing, I think that's another thing. But anyway, I digress again. At some point in the read technique, you kind of have to pull the switch where they ask the alternative question. So that's what Tammy Lee did. She asked the alternative question by saying, I think that what really may have happened, Chris, is, did Shanann hurt the girls? I think that's what happened. I think that Shanann hurt the girls, and you needed to do something about it. You needed to step in because Shanann hurt the girls. Now, in asking that alternative question, the idea is to ask an alternative question that is going to get the person that you're questioning one step closer to admitting what they did, or to confessing, or to telling the truth. Everything that I've heard the investigators or any investigator say about that part of the questioning, where the read technique was implemented, I'm going to slow down here, I'm getting ahead of myself, was that the most important thing for them at that moment really was for Chris Watts to give them enough information where they could recover the bodies of the victims, because that's, of course, very important. And then, you know, they'd have to get to that point and then from there move on. So, you know, at that point in the investigation, from what I understand, from listening to other people talk about it who might be involved in investigation, that really was the main goal. Let's see. Well, here's a good one. So let me just share this with you. And this is about the read technique, because sometimes we end up discussing things that are interesting along the way. Oh, I thought this was going to give me this nice, neat little diagram like I just saw here. Maybe not. Oh, okay. It's like, well, let me share with you what I'm looking at, so at least you know what I'm looking at here, and I'm not just mumbling to myself. Share. Here we go. All right. So, oh, and we've got.
Are you an IT pro?
No,
So you need.
We don't want your advertisement. All right. So, yeah, we don't want to watch these ads. So, you know what? You guys can probably Google it yourself. The read technique. There's 9 steps to the read technique, and you know, they will just. Oh, here it is. Okay, share this tab instead. It's small, but can you guys see that? Yeah, so that's the best I can do for you now, unless we want to watch a minute-long ad together, which we don't. So there's the direct confrontation, the deflection, the dominance. So even in, you know, giving Chris Watts that positive reinforcement of going along with some of his narrative, they have to kind of let him know who's boss. And I think that they did that just fine. Turning objections into justifications, expressing empathy. I think that is probably where most of the positive reinforcement comes in. I get really focused on that because I take to that psychological perspective on things. And then offering alternative themes or scenarios. So that's asking the alternative. Oh, no, 7, posing the alternative question. So she puts out there the scenario that she never believed of. Did Shanann do this? And you had to step in. She asked that alternative question. In this case, it worked beautifully. She got the response and then the repetition of that. So he then continues to and say that, yes, you know, he goes along with the alternative scenario. Yes, Shanann did hurt the girls, but then I, you know, murdered her. So at this point, when he's repeating it, you're getting a really solid kind of confession to, it's a partial confession, but at least it's a solid confession. It's moving them forward. And then there's, you know, the all important documentation. So I know that there has been a lot of criticism of, you know, it seems like especially Tammy Lee, and I don't know if that is, you know, has to do with a gender thing or whatever. I don't know. But I think she did a good job. What are you asking, darling? What do you mean? Is there a timestamp? Oh, I'm not sure what we're talking about with that. You know, I don't know. No, definitely not. Okay. And Yarn Mitten says, NK hates women, and it would have brought another dimension if Tammy had got it. Oh, wow. That would have been really interesting to see Tammy Lee questioning NK, don't you think? Because, I mean, I personally think, I think based on, like I said, everything I've heard from people that know better than me, it sounds to me like Tammy Lee did a good job. And, you know, NK is definitely a strong personality. That would have been a very interesting showdown, so to speak. Oh, good. Vanessa. Let's see what she's got to say. Hey, Katerina, how are you? Let me increase the size so I don't have to squint. Vanessa says interrogation techniques, direct confrontation, domination, deflection. Oh, so those are interrogation techniques. So was I reading that wrong, Vanessa? Oh, that's interesting. Okay, cool. Awesome. If you want to expand on that, I'd love to hear what you say, my darling. I'm so glad Vanessa's here. I feel so honored to have her here. She really and truly, sorry if I'm embarrassing you, Vanessa, clears up a lot of confusion a lot of the time. She just does. It's good to have experts. Okay, Yarn and Mitten says Tammy Lee did phenomenal. So let's take a vote on this. So the question is, how do you think Tammy Lee did? If you think she did a good anywhere from she did her job to phenomenal, let's give it a 1 in the chat. If you think that she was just a joke and didn't know what she was doing, or even on, the less severe scale that she didn't do her job, go ahead and give it a 2. So 1 is a positive. She did her job. 2 is, what do you guys think? 1 or 2? Tammy Lee, did she do her job? Hi, Mia. How are you? Nice to see you. That must mean AD does not have a live right now. We were asking that earlier because Mia's here. Nice to see you. Yes. 1 or 2? 1 or 2? Okay. So Kitty Witty. Oh, you give it a 2, Kitty Witty. Let us, I want to know if you have a statement on that. Rachel also gives it a 2. For those of you who don't think she did a great job or really did the job, what do you guys think about that? James Ferguson gives it a 3. What does a 3 mean? You just don't know? Ask question. Oh, okay. So the question again, 80 is at 6. Oh, okay. Thank you. Ask the question again. So the question is, did Tammy Lee do a good job? I'm going to make it real simple. 1, yes. 2, no. Did Tammy Lee do a good job in questioning Chris Watts? Did she 50-50? Let's see. He said she did a great job. No doubt about that. Margarita Olivares gives it a 50-50. Let's see. Joan, what did you ask here? You said, why do people believe the first confession, even though it was so obvious what they did? That's a really good question. Why? So Joan asked, why did people believe that first confession, which was a coerced confession? Well, okay, I'm not going to go off on this, I promise, but the controversy surrounding the Reed technique is the Reed technique coercion? When investigators employ the Reed technique to get to where they need to go, and in this case, like I was saying, from everything that I understand from people that know more than I do, the main objective was to get enough information to recover the bodies, because that is the most important for the victims and the victims' families, of course. So in using the Reed technique and knowing that they're employing this method that has this psychological, is manipulation the right word? It has this, it just has a psychological edge to it. I can't think of the right word without making it sound like, I think it's coercion. And then somebody gives a confession. Was that confession coerced? Because, one of the important parameters surrounding a confession to make it valid is that the statement of confession cannot be given under the circumstances of coercion or duress, right? So coercion is you were fooled into giving the confession, and duress is that you were put in such a state of stressed out and worried that you had no other choice. Like you were afraid the alternative, if you didn't confess, the alternative was something really bad was going to happen. You're under duress. Those conditions can exist in order for a confession to be considered valid. Hi, Pride or Honesty. Nice to see you. Let's see what Pride or Honesty has to say. Always something good, right? Pride or Honesty. No, Tammy didn't know they were in the tanks. They had trouble believing, Chris Watts later, that the bodies could fit through the hatches. Yeah, this is a good point. As always, Pride or Honesty brings something very meaningful to the discussion. This is something that I read a lot in comments. Rachel Sykes, I want to get back to something you said, sweetie. Don't let me, I won't forget. Oh, wait, I can star things now. They'll just remind me, so I'll have to scroll back up. I don't know if you guys can see that I starred. Can you guys see that I starred a comment? I don't know. I've read a lot in comments and chats. I've read a lot in comments in my own videos. I've had discussions with people saying, well, what was all that for though? Okay, yeah, they used the read technique and they did a good job, in getting enough information to find out where the bodies were. Well, they already knew. They already had that drone up in the air, and they, going along with what Pride or Honesty says, this is, from listening to the whole body of information and conversations and questioning and answering. This is how I think it's pretty clear. This is how it went down. They sent that drone up. They had an idea because of the GPS that was embedded in Chris's truck due to the geotab system that Anadarko had on all of its truck fleets. They knew where he went after he left his house. They got the idea. Tammy Lee said that the family, for better or worse, must have been in that truck. They have a lot of footage that was triggered definitely by motion of people coming and going in the house. I guess they just assumed they didn't go out the back way because there really doesn't make any sense. Where would they have gone? Anyway, her car, the Lexus with the car seats, is still in the garage and never left. They know that Shanann did not leave with the children on her own volition, driving her own vehicle, with her own intention in mind. That became pretty clear. So what is the only other possible alternative based on everything that exists? They had to have left in the truck. So we know that Chris Watts goes to Cervi 319 after he leaves the house. We're assuming that the family's in the truck because where else are they? They didn't get that's the only reasonable place. I was going to say something and then it may have sounded like I was being insensitive. So I'm not going to say it. They had to have left in the truck because I wasn't being insensitive. So, they must be somewhere around there or somewhere that he went afterwards. They started quickly questioning people, probably with the idea of narrowing down, okay, was the family left at Cervi 319 or could they have been taken to one of the other locations or places that he went or somewhere in between? I guess they got a pretty good idea that they very well may have been at Cervi 319, so they put up the drone. Finding the place, where, Shanann's body was temporarily laid to rest was easy. The earth was disturbed. It was, a very shallow and disrespectful situation. That was easy. But as Pride or Honesty says, even after, he told them where his family members were left, they came back and they really couldn't believe it. When you read into the discovery, go a little deeper into the discovery than, just kind of the areas that we look at most, there are communications between the people at Cervi 319 and law enforcement really questioning if this was even possible, that's where, the girls were left. So all of that to say, I don't think that they knew that at the start. So, all right. So I'm going to get back to the topic of the ping in a minute here. Legal-minded friends, Karen Cole. Nice to see you. Oh, my mother's name is Karen and my son's name is Cole. I like your name. Was that a while ago? No, it was just a couple minutes ago. Sometimes I get really far behind in the chat. I think last time I did a live stream, it was like half an hour behind in the chat, and I was supposed to get off at 10 to do something with my kid. And then I realized, oh my God, it's really like 10:40. And I was just really far behind in comments. So Rachel Sykes, I want to see what you have to say. I don't think this is the comment I was going to comment about, but I think I lost that one. I'm sorry, honey. If there was a point you were trying to get at, let me know. I'll come back to it. I just don't want to scroll back up in comments and get lost in comment world an hour behind. I don't think she did, but women do kill the sweetest moms. You would never do that, but it does happen. And I'm not saying she did it to make, yeah, right. So, that is a point. I mean, God, being a mother, I feel like any of us here, I'm sure who are mothers, you think, oh my God, how could that happen? But mothers do kill their children. My God, don't know. That's just so crazy. Hi, Paula Nichols. Nice to see you, sweetheart. Welcome. And Katerina, nice to see you too. I think I did already say hi to you, but hello again. So, all right. Okay, one last here, and then we're going to go back to the ping. And I think I'm kind of delaying it because some of this stuff I have to show you guys gets a little dense. And I'm hoping I can explain it well so it's meaningful. So Joan says or asks here, I still want to know what Chris Watts said was that today about the picture in the oil field. I still want to know what Chris Watts said. Oh, right. So so Tammy Lee shows Watts a picture of Cervi 319 from the drone, and he asked when was that, and she says today. And what's the question about that? Yeah, I think that's all that there was. Let me know if there's more detail I missed there, honey. Yeah, she's okay, right, Vanessa. Vanessa being all like accurate and whatnot, law enforcement lady. When was that taken? Yeah, I said, when was that taken? And she says today. Thank you, Vanessa. Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Katerina. I appreciate it. She likes the live stream. When going back to, and this is just one more little digress, we were talking about in the beginning of the live stream how I was mentioning I don't know why so many channels and so many people really, bust on AD and really don't like him. And I think they're for the causes they stand for, and I do believe that they do. I'm not saying anyone's being like false or whatever, but for the causes they stand for, say that they stand for, I think there's far worse offenders. But I know that one of those channels got into it. I think it was with Bubbles. Were you there, Utter Nutter? I feel like I'm not even going to say where it was happening, but, they were really busting on the fact, well, why on 80s channel, Bubbles who's one of Armchair Detective's moderators, was speaking on his behalf. And they were upset about the fact that he refers to the live stream as a show. And this just reminded me of it. But I was saying in my mind, and no offense to you, dear Katerina, I'm sure, I don't know how old you are, but whatever you are, we are both of a wonderful age. My son, who's 13, and his friends kind of tease me sometimes because if they're watching YouTube or they're watching TikTok or whatever, I refer to everything as a show. And to me, that's just a function of, I grew up in the 1980s and 90s where, a lot of the way that we spent our time after work or school was to watch sitcoms, to watch cable television. We didn't have all these options and everything was a show. It was a half an hour show or it was an hour long show, and whatever it was called a show, but they teased me about it. So they were really, getting on, Armchair Detective for referring to his live streams as a show. I don't know what else you would call them. All right. So back to the pings, my friend. Okay. So now I can't even say that there were a few versions of Discovery because some of the information that was ultimately released through Discovery, it was released, I don't know, possibly when law enforcement had it. No, that's not true because some of the stuff they had all along, but they didn't release, or some of the stuff they did release and then they took out. Pride or Honesty, feel free to chime in on this. Pride or Honesty always reminds all of us that what is in Discovery, guys, is not every possible piece of information that can be related to a case. It is not. I mean, that would be insane. Every Discovery file would be infinitely large. How would you ever sort through the information? What was relevant and what was not, Oh, I just got an update from, this is another thing I'm working on. It's from Lavelle. Oops. Who is the company that does Thrive, because I tried Thrive for a month in investigating this situation. And let me tell you what Lavelle is announcing. Thrive Snickerdoodle just released. Oh, salted caramel is back in stock. I'm not even sure what it is. I haven't ordered anything since Actually, even after my month-long trying out the whole Thrive system for the sake of looking into this case, I did continue to order the shakes. I thought they were really good. If I was in a hurry in the morning and I was really hungry, the shakes just, you know, they had a good amount of protein for me. Anyway, I'm not trying to sell Thrive. Okay. Yeah, I figured you were possibly around my age, just the way we speak with one another. You can really tell, I think, tell a lot about a person's general age category and just their language. Just, you know, as being someone who is a mother of a son who's not like an infant, he's 13. They have their own lexicon, they have their own dialogue, they have their own generational way of speaking. And then I look at my mother, and my dear beloved grandmother just passed away last year, and my own generation. I look at all these different generations and we just have a different lexicon, right? So, oh, yes, Joan, it's okay. Joan has to go somewhere. Everyone say thank you to Joan, wonderful moderator, opened up the not show for us. Sorry, I have to go. Yeah, of course. Yes. Yes, everybody be awesome. Thank you so much, Joan. You're wonderful. Thank you for all that you do. And catch me later. We'll chat. Bye, sweetheart. Okay. So, yeah. So Pride or Honesty always reminds us that the whole, body of possible literature and conversation and evidence and documentation, everything that could possibly relate to the case is not what's in discovery. It is only that which is relevant to the charges and the charges that are being looked at as you move towards a trial. So when we are in the process of criminal charges, being brought, and okay, so someone is charged. A number of different things can happen, and I don't want to get into all that because I will digress again. But if you're going all the way to trial, someone is charged, or some people are charged, or there might at times even be different theories that are working and charging people towards the same crime. Any evidence or information that is relative to those charges or the possible or likely charges that are moving towards a trial is what is going to exist in discovery, right? So not everything, but I think it was immediately after the discovery files did become available from Weld County, Nicole Kessinger's, as I said in, that video that I uploaded and played earlier, Nicole Kessinger's phone records from July 13th to August 14th were in that discovery. It was, I'm approximating, I think just a couple months after that first round of discovery files was released to those who requested it, that phone record was no longer in the discovery files. And what it was replaced with was the August 14th to September 13th phone bill, which really doesn't matter all that much. And then some other things were also gone, and they were replaced with what I, refer to as the fangirl mail, the letters that different women sent to Chris Watts in jail. It's so weird to me that people do that. So let me just get some of this up on the screen for you. Give me just a moment. One moment, my friends. Go ahead. Chat. Actually, I'm just going to play. It's just going to be like 3 or 4 minutes of Kessinger talking about some of her communication with Chris Watts on that day, on Monday, August 13th. Let me just grab that for you really quick. And then I can find these other files and we good to go. So this is from a video that I put out. It says enhanced key parts of NK interview. We have the why, the 100-minute call. He really had to work to get any information out of her on that one. Leave Jim alone, concern for herself. These are things I listed as being on this. And then she also talked about their correspondence on that Monday, August 13th, and then I stopped it there. So for this segment of the interview, there's about 40 minutes of it. I uploaded it the other day, guys. I enhanced the video as much as I could. It's really hard to make the whole thing brighter, but I did get it a little sharper and more focused, and I did enhance the audio, and I think I did a pretty good job. I'm proud of myself. Let me get to where I want to be here.
Or not today, but like
if it ever comes to your mind, just
yeah, I doubt it. That was such a. I will try. I don't remember what it was.
It's fine. It's not that critical. That person may come forward to us anyways, perhaps. So don't worry about it. Let's go back to.
Wait a minute. I don't even know what he's talking about there. Let's watch that together. Normally I can just start listening it in at just about any point in this interview. Maybe you guys can relate. And I've heard it so much, I'll know exactly where they're at. But that didn't sound familiar to me. Let's just peek in there together, okay? Okay, what are you guys talking? There are some things, guys. Did you know this? There are some things in this video release version of the interview that did not exist in the audio only. That is for sure. I've started to, I'm just have a notebook, write down what they are. So hopefully I can put together a video for you guys soon. So many video ideas. Hopefully later tonight, I'm releasing a video about Sherry Papini. I don't know if any of you know about this story. In 2016, Sherry Papini, this lovely, pretty blonde woman, mother of two, kind of the perfect mother type, went missing. She went missing on November 2nd, 2016. She was missing for a few weeks. Lo and behold, on Thanksgiving morning, when the family was going to release a bunch of yellow balloons to, keep awareness up about her, she goes running down. She goes running down the street like half naked, battered, bruised, broken nose, branded. She was branded. Oh my God. Bruises all over her body. They were saying the law enforcement said they could tell the bruises were layered, like she'd been getting bruised for a long time. Comes home to her family. The husband is obviously a wreck. They have 2 young children, 4 and 2. Oh my God. Sherry's home. Well, ever since this happened, I and a whole lot of other people, and maybe you, if you remember this, thought there's just something fishy about this. But, and I've seen material on it over the years. And after a year or two passed, I thought, well, she got away with it. Something was funny here. Something was hoaxy, but she got away. Just on March, I think it was 4th or 5th, she was arrested related to that reported abduction. She said that 2 Hispanic women abducted her and kept her and beat her. And she was afraid to talk to the cops because apparently they kidnapped her for a cop or something like this. Well, I'm not going to give the whole story away because I'm uploading like an hour-long video tonight, guys, but that's not what happened. All right, let me play this portion of the NK video. Oops. What do I got going on here? I'm sharing too many things. Stop sharing that. Start sharing this. Okay. Whoops. Gotta do that one more time. Here we go. So look out for that. Watch it. I think you'll like the story. It's interesting. It's definitely juicy. If you like juice, there you go. All right. This is what I was saying. I went back about a minute. There was something she was talking about. I did not recognize what it was. Maybe I was just having a moment, but let's
officially told me we're going to get a divorce and we're going to put the house up for sale. Like he told me they were separating and they were like, gonna put the house up for sale, but they hadn't done it yet. And then when he got back from North Carolina, that was when he was like, it was like a sealed deal.
Okay.
And the reason that is of significance is because at some point over the weekend, I don't remember when, he told me that they were putting the house up. I don't know if it was they were putting it up on Monday, like the day they went missing, or if it was that they were calling the realtor to verify some stuff so they could put it up that week. Like I don't quite remember. I just remember like the house was supposed to be like on the market like that week.
Did he name a realtor ever?
Yeah, he did, and I don't remember her name. It was a female.
Okay.
And I don't remember her name, like at all. I was trying to think of that for you guys not too long
Is that the
ago.
company? You got the company name?
No, he never gave me that. He like gave me her name, and it was the same name twice. He gave it to me once when he was in North Carolina, and then once the other time. Because I remember asking, I was like, "Who's that?" Because he's like, "I'm gonna have to have her call so and so today and make sure everything's still good to go." And I was like, "Who's that?" He's like, "The realtor." It's like, oh. Or not today, but like.
If it ever comes to your
Monday.
mind, just
Yeah, I
Give me a
doubt
voice
it. That
number
was
to
such
call.
a.
Yeah.
I will try. I don't
lots of
remember
names.
what it was.
It's fine. It's not that critical. That person may come forward to us anyways, perhaps. So don't worry about it. Let's go back to the phone calls on Monday afternoon.
Yeah. So he's like texting me a lot of this information, and I'm starting to kind of freak out. And it's not like I'm freaked out like, oh, she got murdered. I mean, that is not what I thought. It's like, okay, like the way I looked at this, like apparently his wife had been gone since midday, was when she got like reported missing. I didn't know that. Like the way I looked at this, it was, I got home from work just now. I mean, he didn't say that, but I interpreted, I just got home from work and my family is not here. So when we're texting for like a few hours, like the cop thing was kind of weird, but he's like, Nikki insisted they call the cops. Nikki insisted they call the cops. And I'm like, okay, and I'm just trying to figure out, well, like, what role does this woman play in this situation? Like, is she...
Did you know who she was?
No, I don't know any of his people. Like, this has been pretty, like, tight wrap for a while, which is probably a really good thing. But anyways, I didn't know, like, who she was. And so, like, I started asking him. I was like, well, where do you think your wife is at? And he's like, I think she'll be back tonight. Like, I think she's, like, out with somebody. And he was telling me that they'd had a disagreement. So I was like, well, I remember telling him, I was like, you should make sure that you have wait a minute. No. So all that happened. And then it starts getting kind of laid out. And I remember we talked for text for a while and part of this conversation, and then I moved to the phone. And I remember telling him, because he was like, I think she'll just be back tomorrow. I think she's just going to be gone for the night, like with a friend, And
Did
like,
he name the friend?
no, he didn't. And like, because I don't think, he made it sound like he didn't know like what friend's house she would be at. And I remember talking to him and I was like, well, maybe it's that Nikki girl. And he's like, well, Nikki called the cops. So why would she be at Nikki's house? I'm like, I don't know, kind of throws her off the trail of where she's at, And it's like, it sounds kind of weird, but it's like, he really made this sound like this woman was just like upset, left the house. And that was probably what he thought happened to her. And so I didn't really put too much like.
Did he tell you the kids were missing as well?
Yes,
with her?
I knew.
Okay.
I mean, which made sense to me because I was like, well, if you were at work all day, I mean, he didn't tell me he got home early. He didn't say that to me. So, I mean, it made sense. Like if she's going to leave, they should probably go with her. And so I don't know. I feel like I wish I should have like processed all of this earlier, but I just don't feel like when one of my friends is gone, I'm like, oh my God, they got murdered. We should address this. Like, I haven't heard from
It's not
them
a
in 4
typical
hours.
thought when somebody just checks out for a day.
No. So it got late at night. And like, I remember telling him, I was like, he's like, I think she'll be back tomorrow. And he was going to go into work. And I told him not to. I was like, you need to stay home and you need to help the cops. I'm like, and you need to wait for her to come back. And he's like telling me like, well, what if like she comes back and she sees my truck? And I was like, you know what I would do? I was like, I would ask one of your good friends who's off of work tomorrow to come over this house and hang out with you while you're here. I was like, and go park your truck down the street. I was like, so she's upset at you and she wants to come back. I was like, but she doesn't want to be here if you're here, maybe. I was like, if she comes back, I was like, and she doesn't see your truck, maybe she'd be more willing to come in the house. I'm like, you know, I'm like, but don't be alone with her. I was like, because if she's upset enough to leave, I was like, you don't know what kind of conversation you're going to have when you get back in the house. And I was like, so that's why you should have a friend there so that you're not alone with her. And I was like, and if for some reason you are alone with her, I told him, I was like, I really thought she just left. I did. I was like, get your phone, put it on video, and put it in your pocket. And
Guys, I just want to know I'm going to be back with you in like 2 minutes. I'm just pulling up a couple of maps that I need to continue this conversation, okay? I'm not going to leave you hanging.
I was like, and just zip it up. And he's like, why? And I told him, I was like, because you can voice record. I was like, so if she comes home, I was like, and you two are still like, you know, if there's some choice words being said, because you guys obviously got into like something that's, you know, early.
Did he ever
morning.
articulate what their argument was
He did,
about?
and I will get there. But, you know, I told him, like, just be prepared, you know, because at this point, like, it wasn't like I was, like, trying to make her to be a bad person. It was just, like, I didn't know what was going on. I assumed that she had left. So I was like, well, when you get back, because I knew that they were going through a divorce, it was like, just cover your bases, you know, try not to be alone. And if you are, just record what you guys are talking about. So, like, at the end of the day, like, nothing bad happens to you, you know? And, like, that was kind of how I processed that whole situation. And so he was like, all right. And then she didn't come home that night. That was Monday night, right? Yes.
We're talking about Monday.
Monday night, yes. And he told me this is what he told me they talked about, and I realized that this is like total bullshit, and I think he's telling you guys a different story. And I think the reason that he's telling me what he's telling, I think the story he's telling you is probably slightly more accurate than the one he told me on this case. And the reason is because I think he was trying to save his ass with the fact that she's pregnant. So he told me that she had asked him to wake her up before he left for work on Monday morning. And so I don't know if she did that on a text or how it was supposedly communicated. But he said that he went to get her up, which I also found weird because, like, she's still sleeping when he leaves because she gets up with the kids and they get up shortly after that, but, like, it's just him in the mornings, you know. And so he said that she woke up and those two kind of just, like, got in a disagreement, and I don't know what all was said, but he was like, she was being pretty mean. And then he said, she told me that she's pregnant, and she told me that the kid is not mine. That is what he told me.
So she's pregnant, the kid's not mine.
And that she's
like he's planning, he didn't know she was pregnant until that morning.
Yep.
And that she had an affair with somebody else.
Yes, and this is before I knew she was 15 weeks pregnant.
Okay.
Like, all the stuff on Monday that I read from my recollection, because I didn't find out she was pregnant until Tuesday. So anything that got posted on Monday did not emphasize the fact that she, like, had a baby on board. So then...
let me ask you something. You said that he usually gets up in the morning and just, it's him and she gets up and takes care of the kids. Is that the routine that you know for them? Or do you know him to get up and, like, prepare meals prior to him leaving the home?
Well, he gets up and he, like, goes to the gym and he works out in his basement and, like, makes breakfast. And I don't know.
Does he make breakfast for himself or does he make breakfast for his children?
I don't know. I don't know. They're still sleeping at that point. Like, all I know is he, at one point in sometime in this whole thing, he told me that they usually get up at like 6:30, and she gets him ready and takes him to school and, like, does all the mornings with them, as far as I know. And then in the afternoons when he gets home from work, he kind of does more of the afternoon stuff.
Okay.
So it's kind of like a tag team operation that they have going on, but I think she does more in the AM and he does more in the PM.
Right.
is kind of how I process that, but I don't know.
Okay. So
Um,
she's mean to him and then throws this out that
Yes.
she's pregnant from another man.
And I said, do you believe her? And he was just like, he said something about like, oh yeah, like she kind of looked like she was showing when we were in North Carolina, but I wasn't sure. And I'm like, so you think she's pregnant? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, do you think she's like having an affair? And he's like, I think she said that out of spite. And he's like, and I was like, okay. And then, and again, like, I think he just
Okay.
was saying all this to me and trying to.
Okay, so that is Nicole Kessinger, with a whole lot of talk about what she is reporting happened as far as communication between herself and Chris Watts on that August 13th. What she did not tell investigators, which I think is interesting, and I just want to bring to your attention, this is what I was trying to find, and I couldn't take you with me on that journey because I had to go into my personal mail. Which, oh, no, I don't have to do that again. Yeah, I can share that with you. Yes, I can share this with you. Is this? I want to know what you guys think of this. And then I've got the maps up too. Okay, yeah. So, let me make sure it's showing for you. Perfect. So this is from the Nicole Kessinger gave a 7-page letter to law enforcement. It was sometime in the very beginning of September, and it was right around September 4th or 1st, right in the very beginning of September. And this was actually, she went to hand deliver this 7-page letter to law enforcement. And this is when she found out that she was no longer going to be working with Kevin Kobach, but rather Detective David Baumhover was taking over. So this, I refer to this 7-page letter as the cover my ass letter, excuse my French. But, in my mind, the whole purpose of this 7-page letter is to, explain away some really shady things that she had done. Now, I do believe that most things contained within the 7-page letter do have a rather high degree of truth to them compared to other things she might just carelessly spill out, because she's handing this to law enforcement knowing that there's this murder investigation and they're, things are probably going to be scrutinized. So she tells him this is part of the conversation that she discloses to law enforcement that happened on that Monday. She didn't talk about it in the interview clip we just heard just a moment ago, though. She says, I told him that it is possible to divide paychecks into multiple bank accounts, but that if he considered doing that, he would need to make sure he was responsible and that his mortgage and kids and his standard monthly bills were covered first. Because remember, she's a very responsible young woman. Next bullet. I told him that if SW, Shanann Watts, ever wanted child support, he would still be required by law to show proof of that income, even if it was a second account. I'm sure this is what they were discussing. But the question is, what is she trying to cover up that they did talk about, right? That's what we need to think about. Third bullet point, I suggested that if he decided to do that, perhaps just contribute a small amount that wouldn't impact his current living situation, but would give him a cushion for the first month's bills when he transitioned into an apartment. But that was his discretion. You know what that sounds a whole lot like to me? Put some money away that she can't find. What do you think? I mean, that's how I'm reading that. Wow. Okay. Let's see. See what you guys have to say here. And then we've got maps. Sharon says, I read an article about devil's breath. It causes people to do anything they're told and to have no memory of it the next day. I know that there's some people put out the idea about that devil's breath, and it's totally possible. And I didn't mean to put this up here and then pick on you, Sharon, but I personally do not believe in the devil breath theory. Nicole this is what I think. And, I have no more reason to be right than anyone else probably, but I think she was just giving him like your average, like green machine drinks, like the antioxidants. Like I have, like a container of like in with like my vitamins and stuff. It's just this green powder, and it says it has all the nutrients of kale and spinach and all these things mixed together. And I just think that's what it was. I don't know. Get Devil's Breath from Target. I don't think so. Devil's Breath, I don't know. I don't really know about Devil's Breath, but let me pop up these maps for you. All right. So, okay. So that's one I want to share with you guys. Share. All right. So I was talking to one of my friends, moderators, Nancy, the other day, and I was like, saying that as I went over some of this material, just based on some of the people that I can talk to who are really the experts who are in this industry, and the little more that I may know based on my experience of working in the telecom industry, it's like, the way like my mind sees it, there's kind of like the very straightforward, like basic presentation of facts, or there's things that get a little too in the clouds. If we get a little too in the clouds, let me know. So now this looks like nothing, but let me just start to focus in a little bit here. All right. So now there's a few things that are important to understand, my friends. Okay. Thing number one is that, hold it. Let's see. Just a second. I'm going to have to copy and paste that. Darn it. Maybe I can take a screenshot of it. Sorry, I'm talking to myself here. Yeah, I might take a couple screenshots. That'll work. I don't want to share that whole thing. I can't share that whole thing. All right. There we go. And one backed out a little bit. Okay, so now what is unique about this map that you might not get with other maps is we're looking at the towers that supported the kind of the towers that existed in 2018 that supported the kind of service that Kessinger had in 2018. Let's see. So just give me one moment, folks. I'm sorry, because if I kept going down the live website, I was going to get into like identifying information, which I can't do. I'm sorry about that. I didn't notice it before. You know what? Let's see. What time is it right now? It's 6:40 right now. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm sorry to do this to you, but I want to be able to show you the maps on the website live, like as they are, so I can zoom in and zoom out and show you what happens if we manipulate things a little bit. So we've already been on here for an hour and 40 minutes. So I'm going to make this a part 2. And listen, I promise you, we'll do a live stream tomorrow. Is the same time good for you guys? Like around 5 o'clock? Is that a good time? So I'll make it around 5 o'clock tomorrow, and we will pick up going right into the maps. So I'm going to show you the towers that existed in 2018, and I'm going to show you the towers that existed in 2018 that serviced Verizon, and they service the kind of Verizon service that she had then, which was 3 LTE. We're up to 5 now. So when people are looking at the current maps of the current towers, given the current technology that we're using now, it's not that it moots the whole thing, guys, to talk about it in those terms, but I want to give you information that is exact and precise as possible. So we're going to rewind back to August of 2018. We're going to consider that NK had Verizon as a carrier. We even know the kind of service she had because it says on her cell phone record, which we have. So I really narrowed things down based on all of that. And then I'm going to show us that ping existed. That's just a fact. Based on that fact, what are the possibilities? And then we're going to go through the scenarios to determine together what's most likely. Okay. So that'll be really awesome. Okay. So thank you guys so much for being with me tonight. And thank you so much, moderators. You're awesome. Thank you, Utter Nutter. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Pride or Honesty. And gosh, I hope I didn't miss any moderators. And Vanessa Orr, thank you for your help as always. And it was so great to see you. Colby and DTC, I don't know if you're here anymore. Sharon, James, David, Margarita, Colby, Mia. I don't know if you've left also. Katerina, I might be saying some people's names twice. But it was great to see you guys. So we're going to pick up tomorrow with a really juicy part. I'm going to schedule it for 5 o'clock again, unless you guys tell me that's not going to work. And then we'll change it. Okay. So thank you guys so much. And Coco, bye. Take care. Have a good night. Everyone be safe.